Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, the show where faith meets focus and potential becomes purpose. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, mental performance coach, speaker, and believer that greatness begins within. Each episode, we'll uncover the biblical principles, mindset strategies, and daily disciplines that help student athletes, parents, and leaders just like you walk boldly in their calling. Let's step onto the path that leads to true greatness, God's way. Well, hey, welcome back to Pathways to Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, and today's going to be an interesting episode. One, I realized that I had a guest that was scheduled for last week, and they didn't show up. And then I realized today why. I had reached out. And I honestly don't get sideways when people don't show up for their scheduled time because life is busy. I've forgotten to come on when I'm the host. So I cannot cast stones. And sure enough, I'm so glad that I didn't. Sorry, my nose is itching. I think that means I'm going to get rich. Anyways, but come to find out, I had typed the email address incorrectly. So they never received the calendar invite. So that was all on me. I could have thrown shade at them and really been upset. And I can't believe that they didn't show up. And then all of a sudden it was me. And then sometimes people don't show up because there's an emergency. There's other things that do happen. As great as I think that I am, and as wonderful as this podcast is, it's not the end all be all. So lesson to everybody, don't jump to assumptions and conclusions before you have all the facts. Just assume that it was an honest mistake and it was forgotten, and then move on and don't let it ruin your day. And I didn't have to eat crow because I didn't point fingers. So anyways, here we are today. And I want to keep this streak going. So I decided I would just hop on here. And normally I do have somewhat of an outline that I follow to have a conversation with you because I'm not the best at off the cuff type discussions where I'm not chasing rabbits and I'm all over the place. So with that being said, is I probably will be all over the place, but it might be for good reasons. I don't know how long this is going to go, but if you want to hear an update to my 2025 and where things are for me, this is the episode for you. If you don't want to know, then you click it off and start over. And when I have more guests to finish out the year, which I've got some really, really good guests lined up for the coming weeks. So you want to make sure that you tune back into that. And then at the very end, I will have a little bit of scripture and a brief lesson from my buddy, John Gardina. And so this is a shameless plug to him. I don't know if this is backwards to you, but it's backwards to me. But it's called Glued to God, and it is a devotion that he wrote with him and Daniel Galasso, and it's fantastic. It's a weekly devotion, meaning that you get 1 week to focus on one verse, and so it's really good. It's application based, and so when we get to the end of the episode, when I run through everything, and it just so happens that this goes hand in hand with what I'm going to discuss, that you'll be able to capitalize off of what John has shared. And I would just encourage you to go to Amazon.com, buy your copy of Glued to God. It's fantastic. It's something that will help you through your year. So it's a year, but it's 1 week at a time, which is great. So it's not overwhelming. So what's been going on with Jeff in 2025? So many of you who are faithful listeners, I have regular contact with, but there are several of you, I need to slow down, that we do correspond, but not at the intimate level where you really are going to understand everything that's going on. I try to portray, if you follow me on Instagram, my life as it is. Now, of course, there are some things that I don't share. There are some dreadful moments where I'm in my head and it's rough, and I don't share those. And I don't know, I don't do it because I want to hide it. I almost just do it because I don't know if embarrass isn't the right word, or just burden everybody else. I do share. I don't swallow things like I used to. and just let it be buried deep inside. Um, but I do have a small circle that I do share things with, and that's very therapeutic. If you don't do that, you should. So 2025. I can't believe that it's December already, and I'm sure you're thinking the same thing. Here we are. I'm recording this. It's December 8th. So we have what, 22, 23 days left of the year, and we will be in 2026. And so for me, it's been a fun year because one, it's my son's senior year of high school. Two, it's my daughter's freshman year of high school. So I have one transitioning into a different phase of life out of middle school, and another one transitioning out of a high school phase of life and into the next phase of his life. And it's really exciting. And we're always going through changes, we're always going through transitions. This one, from a societal standpoint in the US, is a big one because it's what we consider moving from being an adolescent to adulthood. And if you followed me for any length of time, age does not determine whether you're a man or a woman. One is that if you want to be both of those, it comes down to responsibility. And I feel that we put too much stress on young people that, hey, you're 18, you've got to be a man. Well, have I done a good job showing him what he needs to do and how he needs to do it? Or if it's your daughter, and it's the same thing. And for me, I probably really didn't become a man until my 40s, where I started accepting responsibility for the mistakes that I made. I started accepting responsibilities that I had been shirking. So there's a lot of different things, but it's been an exciting year. He had a great football season. They finished the year 10-0, and it was a great 2-year run for him as a junior and a senior. They ended up 20 in a row regular season. So they've on a 20 win winning streak, and it's exciting for the program and exciting for all the kids that were there. And so you have a program that had historically always been terrible. So when he came in as a ninth grader, that program had a different head coach every year. And it's a newer high school. It started in 2017. So from 2017 until 2022, it had a different football coach every single year. So you couldn't build any stability. You couldn't build any culture. And it was tough. So a lot of the good players transferred out. So it struggled. It really was a program that was rough. His freshman year, they won the most games that they'd ever won, and that was two as a varsity football team. And then his sophomore year, they topped that and they won three. And part of that is because his head coach came in his freshman year, and he's been there throughout. So he's been the consistent, stable um, point of light, I guess you would say, is that he's leading the ship, and it's the same one. So he's able to build one on another, one year after another, start creating a culture, creating traditions, creating things from scratch because there wasn't anything there. And it's been a lot of fun to see my son be able to go through that versus going through something where there's constant change with a new head coach every single year. And I gotta say, these poor college kids, a lot of them are facing some of the same things. Is they may have two or three head coaches if they stay at the same school, as quick as they're moving coaches in and out of programs. And so it's been fun to watch him grow as a player. It's been fun to watch him grow as a young man. And we're just excited about what's going to happen next in his life and just see where God leads him. And the same for my daughter, is moving from eighth grade to ninth grade. That's a big transition, and seeing her blossom and starting to find the things that work for her from a school standpoint. Because if you remember, it's been a long time since I was in eighth grade, but when you go from eighth to ninth grade, everything changes dramatically. The expectations of you being responsible for yourself, you being for your studies, and versus eighth grade. And so many kids do so well elementary and middle school. That was me. Really, mine hit sixth grade when I started not doing so well. And then high school gets hard. You have more assignments, more responsibility to do things without being constantly reminded in school. And and to be honest, the public school system right now in the state of Florida, it leaves a lot to be desired. We fortunately are in a good, we've been in good schools with good teachers and good administration. And that in and of itself has helped, but the system is broken. I mean, it's at least in the state of Florida. I can't speak to any other state. And I don't think that if you live in other states that you have not heard about how broken the Florida education system is. And it has been for decades. And it just seems that our young people are just they're being left behind. They're being forgotten. They're being tossed around in a sea of political mess that, and these people that are operating in a vacuum about what they think works based on statistics, what they think works on, you know, party lines. I mean, let's just call it what it is. And it's terrible because our kids and our teachers are the ones that are suffering from it. And good teachers are getting pushed out of the system because they just can't take it anymore. And I can't blame them. I can't blame them. But it's been fun. So with Lorelai, the not only is she going from 8th to ninth grade, is again, if you followed me for any length of time, she plays club volleyball as well. We switched clubs. So it's been a big year of a club that we've been at for 3 years, that she's grown and developed in. And it was just time for a change. And this new club, which is 407 volleyball, we're very, very excited about. It's the leadership's all about building positive culture. They're all younger coaches who have college experience. For instance, the head coach on Lorelai's team is a current assistant at the University of Texas, which has one of the best, if not the best, programs in the nation for volleyball. And so he's coming right from that. The director and founder of the club played at Georgia Tech and UCLA. And so a lot of really cool experiences that everybody's very excited about. And with that brings a lot of responsibility and expectation. And so it's been fun to see how they've managed through that and how we're managing through that. And again, being transparent, the only way that I want to be is I've struggled a lot with my son's transition from high school into college and into that next phase of life because of the fact that he's leaving. And I know any parent that's listening to this who has had a child go from living in the house every single day for 18 or so years to now all of a sudden leaving, it's tough because not only do we love our son, we also really like our son and we like hanging out with him. And so it's a lot of fun. And it's been tough, and it's been tough just because of the college recruiting journey is also extremely difficult. And I've been on the phone with plenty of different people because it's been tough. It's been tough on me. It's been tough on him because the landscape has changed so much so quickly. And it's difficult emotionally because there's so much to do. The coaches are burdened with so many different people that they have to try to access and navigate through. And with social media, everybody has access to every coach, and you just get lost in the shuffle. And so and we've always said this to him and to her and anybody that I speak with, is that the importance of it's your network. It's who you know and who knows you, on how you're able to navigate those and just get your film, or if you're in the professional world, get your resume in front of someone, get it on the hiring manager's desk, get it on the position coach's desk, because that's the hardest part. And so it's through relationships that you build is what creates that. It's tapping into your network, asking for help and saying, hey, do you know anyone at this school, that school, these different schools that you can just pass it along? I'm not asking you to do anything, but can you just get it on their desk and in their mailbox? And I would also encourage you, is if you're looking for a job, it's the same thing. It's scouring LinkedIn, finding the hiring manager and sending them an email, or finding someone that you know that may know that hiring manager or knows somebody at the company. And so you can't just sit idly back and just send an email and think it's going to get open. It may, but I would say odds are it's going to get lost in the shuffle. And so many of these universities now, they just have a general mailbox. They don't even have a mailbox that goes directly to the coaches, especially at the larger programs. And so you can't tell me that that mailbox gets opened often. So I don't know. It's tough. And so we've been navigating through that and trying to figure out, how do we trust? How do we really have the faith in God's plan to be able to take the next step and to allow it to work? And I'm a worrier and a bit of a control freak by nature. And so through that, it's been really hard for me to let go and allow God to work the process. I will tell you that even as difficult as it has been to let go, it is the best thing that I've ever done, because it lessens the anxiety and the stress on me. It lessens the anxiety and stress on him, and just the whole situation. And it's not that we're just throwing our hands up and saying, okay, God, take the wheel. It's God, take the wheel. I'm going to do the things that they say nowadays that you need to do to get your information out there. And this is no different for our daughter, but I'm going to let you take it. You're going to put him where you want him, whether I fight and scream and scratch or not. If I fight and scream and scratch, I very well could cause a problem. And so for me, it's just us going through the process and understanding that wherever this next chapter leads him, it's God's place and it's where we want to be. And I saw a really good post by Toby Mack, and I meant to look it up before I started recording, but I did not. And it, in essence, is that once I have realized that I can see that a closed door is really God's protection. The terrible paraphrase. But so often we don't. We see a closed door, we beat ourselves up, we listen to the lies of the devil, because that's what he wants. He wants us to feel low and down and take our eyes off of God versus, hey, you know what? God, thank you for closing that door. I thought that's where I needed to be, but you took that away because I wasn't strong enough to listen to you to walk away. You had to shut it. And that's happened in my life a bunch. And a couple of times it was extremely painful, very painful. Now looking back, extremely blessed and grateful that my will and my choices did not come to fruition, because I would be miserable. I know I would be miserable to this day if those things happened. So that's been a big thing for us, is just transition, kid transition into different phases. And I'll just plant this out there for anybody who's listening, or if you know someone that's in this same place that I am, or I'm a little further along, is I would be happy to talk to anybody about this and share all the information that I have, because it's been rough on me, but it's been a huge blessing because I've had growth, a lot of growth out of it, and I'm thankful for it. And, we have to go through those difficult times to come out on the other side better. As long as we're in it and saying, look, God, I don't like this at all. I know, though, that you're working, you're teaching me lessons, and you're helping me grow. I'd be more than happy to hop on the phone and talk to anybody. So please just reach out and let me know. And that does remind me, I need to reach out to somebody that I had a good conversation with before as well. And then Tammy, she's made a transition into a new job. She had been an elementary PE teacher, and really enjoyed that. But a great opportunity at the Special Olympics of Florida opened up, and she's been trying to get with the Special Olympics for the last probably 3 or so years, and finally made it. And it just so happened that the position came open. She applied and she jumped on it, and she's doing great already. It's a transition for her because it's going from being outside every day. Well, one, she was running the house and hauling the kids everywhere for the better part of 14 years and doing a fantastic job as a stay-at-home mom. She was not sitting around, to use the cliche, eating bonbons and watching Hallmark. I mean, she was starting PTOs. She was starting, like, just doing everything. And so she's had a couple of transitions. One, she went from doing that every day to now all of a sudden she was a PE para. So she was an assistant. So she just had to show up and do the job, but somebody else did all the lesson plans. And so she enjoyed that thoroughly, loved the school that she was at there. Then an opportunity came open to be a full-time PE teacher at a different elementary school, which is what she went to school for. She jumped on that, enjoyed that process. Again, it was transition. It was getting everything figured out. And it was painful at times, but then she was finally getting into her groove. And then this opportunity came up. So I'm going to pause for a second. Does any of this sound familiar in your life, where you've had different moments that have built upon one another? When you look back and you say, hey, if I would have gone from this to this, I could have done it with no problem, but that would have been a difficult transition. But I went from here to here to here to here, which was perfect. It wasn't my timeline. It was God's timeline, and it was great. And also change and transitions happen, and how we manage those is how we are successful on the other side. If you hold on tight, if you are trying to force things too much and you don't have a good attitude, it's going to be a difficult process to go through transition and change. If you're excited about the transition and change, then it's better. I was working with a young man one time, and he was going from high school to college, and he was, used, quote unquote, he was afraid. So I asked him, I was like, what is that feeling that you feel? He's like, it's fear. Now, I'm afraid of what's happening next. And I'm preaching to me, so I don't have this perfected. Let me just say this, but it's a really good lesson for us all. I said, that feeling in your gut that you've assigned the word fear to, let's change the assignment. That feeling that you have, that's excitement. That's, I don't know what's next. It's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Growth mindset is, man, I'm nervous and I just don't know what's going to happen next. I'm really excited to see where God's leading me, what he has for me in store. Or do you have the feeling of, that's fear? I can't believe what's next. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I don't know what's going to happen. This is new. I don't like new. I like comfortable. Which one's more productive? The first one. So I'm going to challenge you today is, when you have that feeling that's fear, as long as it doesn't involve bodily harm or death, that change it to excitement. Change it to, okay, I don't know what's going on, but this is something that normally used to make me scared. Now I'm excited. I know a lot of people, not me, that used to be afraid or just didn't like to go on roller coasters, and they worked themselves up into a frenzy. And then all of a sudden they rode it. The first time they hated it. They screamed the whole time. The second time they screamed a little less. And by the third time, they're like, can we do this again? It's the same thing, is that through that fear, if you don't ever let that go, you'll never find out on the other side. Now, sometimes you'll go, you know what? I tried it. Don't like it. Not going to do it again. Doesn't mean that you're afraid of it. You've just used the process to logically go through and say, didn't benefit me at all. I was afraid of it. Didn't cause me any harm or create any issues. Just didn't move me forward. It wasn't productive. Roller coasters are never productive for Jeff. I'm just going to say that. I'm not afraid of them. I just don't like the way they make me feel when I go up and down. It's not fear. I hate it. I don't like the stomach in my throat feeling. And people are surprised because I've got tattoos all over, and they think that I would be this, somebody who loves, to do all those things and a thrill seeker. I'm not a thrill seeker whatsoever. Adventure, yes. Thrill, not really. But that's been Tammy, and it's been a lot of fun to watch her blossom into this position and just really in a short amount of time make a huge impact And there's nothing better. I'm learning a lot about the Special Olympics that I didn't know before. And I would highly encourage anyone that's out there that wants to see a fantastic organization that helps a fantastic group of people and families, um, check out Special Olympics, because the things that they do for these athletes and the families, it'll blow your mind. I had no earthly idea. And I would get into some of the things that I think I remember, but since I'm not an expert, I'm not going to speak out out of turn. But just go check out Google Special Olympics Florida, and you'll be able to find a lot of information. It's fantastic. So for me, 2025 has been interesting. As everybody knows that's listened to this more than once, I also made a big change and transition in 2021 and made that decision starting in 2022 to want to be a mental performance coach and help people. And I still do. And I still do coach and still work with young people, student athletes, parents, and coaches on the mental performance side, but also the life skills side of how to manage themselves. And I bring my corporate experience to that, because it's a life lesson that can help you in sports, at home, spiritually, and then professionally as well. And so from that, really worked pretty diligently to try to create a good revenue stream that would support my family financially. And it's tough. Anybody that has done any kind of coaching or consulting, as a full-time business or as a side business, it's tough. It's very difficult. And so from that, it's really, but where I'm going with that is created a lot of opportunities and flexibility for me to find other avenues. So really starting in 2025, I started working with my good buddy Tony on a couple of different things. One is I work with David Denny's bird hunting and giving donations. I give donation hunts out to nonprofit organizations like schools and different charities here locally in Orlando, but just nationwide, for people to, and organizations to be able to auction off dove hunts, and they get to keep whatever they're able to raise, which is a great opportunity for these groups to raise some funds. And quite a few of the people that I've worked with have raised a significant amount of funds, and the people that win the trip through their silent auction or auction, however they want to do it, have had a wonderful time as well. So it's a great opportunity. And Argentina is a beautiful country. I've been down there 3 times now, and encourage anybody that wants to go to let me know. And then on the other side, I've been able to leverage my skills, my corporate skills, in helping Tony on FE Outrider. So, well, what do we do at FE Outrider? And we are an adventure-based company who work with outfitters and other organizations on creating hosted hunts and hosted opportunities, but also to help connect hunters and fishermen and adventurers with other outfitters. So we bring everything together, and then Tony, vets the outfitters that he's either worked with personally, or he has people who he trusts who have worked with several times, to utilize them. And so that's who we connect our clients with. The main bread and butter that we're having is through these hosted events, where we'll do, like we're doing an Oktoberfest Porsche rally through Europe, where we have two hosts on this one, and then we sell spots, and we're building a really cool community. And so through that, we're doing a lot of different hunts and experiences all over the world. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every single minute of it. And it started out where I was just working a little bit here and there. And as we've progressed, it's an everyday thing. And I really, really enjoy it. Not only enjoy what I do, but who I'm doing it with. Tony's a great guy. But then the rest of the team's fantastic. And then the clients, we're getting to experience, at least I am, because I have not done this before, helping people go on, some of them, trips of a lifetime, that they've wanted to do this forever, and they finally get to do it, and then hear the back end of the excitement that they had on it, whether it's, killing a massive trophy elk, or catching a huge bluefin tuna, or going on a Porsche rally through Europe that they've never seen and they wanted to do it. So there's all these different cool things. And so being a part of that's been really exciting. And if you would have told me several years ago, this is where I would be today, one, I would have said, well, that sounds pretty cool. I have no idea how that all is going to connect from where I was in the healthcare industry all the way over here now into travel industry in essence. And so it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. It's challenged me professionally to tap into things that I haven't done in a long time, which has been really exciting as well. And so looking into 2026, got a lot more things on that side going to happen. I'm actually going to be able to start hosting some trips just because I think my schedule is going to line up. And then we've got hunts like and trips every single month of the year. So at some of those points, I'll be able to fit some in. So I'm excited about that. So if you want to check anything out about Outrider, you can go to feoutrider.com and look at that. Or if you want to hit me up on the bird hunting side, daviddenny's.com is where you could find that, but you can always just reach out to me and I can help you on those two fronts. But that's really where we're at. You know, I've got aches and pains as a 52-year-old man, but who doesn't? And it's been interesting, frustrating to navigate through some of those where things that, hey, that might hurt for 2 weeks. Now it hurts for 5 months, and then just trying to figure things out, move ahead. But hey, what are you going to do? It's you process, you work, you do the things that you're supposed to do, and remember that you're not as young as you used to be, but you can still be young and you can still work hard and still be active. So I'm not relegating myself to the couch. I don't think I ever will, because I like to move and I like to be active and sweat a little bit here and there. So I've been fortunate there. All right, I'm going to transition because I said that the devotion that was this week's devotion that came from Glued to God by John Gardina and Daniel Galasso. And week 6 is trusting God's plan. So I'm going to read this to you because I think it's important when we are looking back at our year and we're looking forward to the next year. Did we trust God's plan? And are we going to trust God's plan? And then why didn't we? Or if we did, how did we? And if we didn't, how will we? So this is just one of those things that we've got to look at. What did we do and what are we going to do? So it's that look back, but more importantly, let's look forward. So trusting God's plan. Gratitude. I'm thankful for all the different paths you have put me on during my life. So we're going to listen to this verse. So take 30 seconds to reread and listen to what God is saying to you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Let me read that again. While you're thinking through this, I'm going to read this again. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. So understand what the verse says. This verse reassures us that God has a plan for our lives, a plan that is good and filled with hope. Even when we face difficulties, we can trust that God is working for our good. Remember what I said before? There was a lot of things going on that I just didn't understand. And you start to, the world wants you to look at it's all happening to you. It's all, they're putting you as the idol versus putting God as the person that we're supposed to be and the entity that we're supposed to be worshiping, and Jesus and what he brings to our life. You can't do it. I'm sorry. I don't care what all the self-help talk about. You cannot do it. But you, with Jesus, can. You can overcome and do anything. But if you just rely on you, forget it. It's too difficult. Life is a mess. The devil wants you to think that, yes, you can do this all by yourself. What did he tell Eve? God doesn't want you to eat that because he doesn't want you as powerful as him. He's telling you the same thing right now. So get rid of it. So an example of applying this verse: when you feel uncertain about the future, remind yourself of God's promise. Trust that he has a good plan for your life, even if you can't see it right now. Lean on his guidance and seek his will in your decisions. So the daily question I want you to ponder is, how can you trust God's plan for your life, especially in times of uncertainty? I'm going to share the short prayer that John and Daniel have in here. I surrender my plans to you, O Lord. Lead me to the path of righteousness and allow me to do your will. Your ways are better than mine. Therefore, I ask you, God, to bless me with following your way and believing in your timing for my visions or victory to come to fruition. So one of the things that I do when I start to worry, and I picked this up probably 6 months ago, August timeframe, is Psalm 46:10. The phrase that I use on a regular basis is, be still and know that I am God. If you combine be still and know that I am God with, for I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. You got to be still. You got to listen. You got to appreciate the moments. And I'm going to tell you, when you read this one, Jeremiah 29:11, and when you read Psalm 46:10, that's not just when things are difficult. Go to that when you win the game that you want to win, when you get the job that you want to get, when you have the raise that you've been looking for, when whatever happens. This is his plan. This is what he wants for you. And it's not the prosperity gospel. It's not that just because you follow God that all of a sudden you're going to be rich. If you follow Jesus and you put him in your life, a lot of those things that the world wants you to think will fulfill you, you don't need. Yes, we need money. We need those things, but God doesn't guarantee you riches. He guarantees you riches in heaven. He guarantees you riches of joy and loving one another and having everything that you need. That's where the joy comes from. And when you allow his plan to work in your life, as I'm doing a better job every year, life just gets better because you just get rid of the nonsense and understand that you have to put forth effort. You have to make a plan. You have to set goals. Ultimately, though, it's going to play out the way it's going to play out. There are so many forces that are surrounding your goals, that are surrounding your progress, that you have no say over. So one, you got to think about your goals. What are self-impacted goals that don't have any outside influence? Because if you have goals that exist with outside influence, you're going to fall short more times than not because of the outside influence. So look at the things that you can impact, and that's what you need to set goals for. So I went way longer than I thought. I really, really enjoyed this today. I wanted to keep the streak alive, and I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to share some snapshots of what I have for the year. I'm excited for Tammy and Deuce and Lorelai and what we have for 2026. We're going to end 2025 great because it's the decision of how we're going to end it. I love my family. I love my friends, that everybody's around me. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for everybody. I'm grateful for you for taking the time to listen to these episodes this year. If you listen to all of them, wow, that's dedication. I'm thankful. If you listen to one, that's dedication, and I'm thankful. So with all that being said, I'm Jeff. This is Pathways to Greatness. Have a wonderful day and a great Christmas and a new year.